Dear friends, welcome to Inquest. In this video, let's discuss about 1st November 2021 daily current affairs, useful for your UPSC, KPSC and all other competitive exams. Let's see the index of today's discussion. Number 1, launch of Dairy Sahakar scheme. So in this article, we need to understand what is Dairy Sahakar and its purposes. Article number 2, scientists find a mineral seen in the depths of the earth in a meteoroid. So there is a meteoroid. After several years of research, they have found that the mineral that is present in this particular meteoroid is same as the mineral that is found in the interior of the earth. So this research actually can be used to support the hypothesis of the formation of moon. So let us find out how it is related to the formation of the moon hypothesis. Article number 3, Jupiter's monster storm, not just wide but surprisingly deep. So it was believed to be just wide, but it is also found to be deep as per NASA's Juno spacecraft. So in this article, we need to know the details of this spacecraft. At the same time, we need to understand Jupiter's monster storm. After this, UIDAI, that is Unique Identification Authority of India, seeks indemnity from the data bill. So separation from the data bill. So this is actually to make sure to avoid government agencies to deal with the personal data. So let's find out the complete details in this article. Article number 5, delivery of Y12704 Vishakhapatnam, first ship of project 15B. So there are two kinds of streams of project. One is called as 15A and other one is called as 15B. So in 15B, there are four ships, out of which the first ship has been delivered, that is Vishakhapatnam. So let's find out the complete details of this project. So article number 6, Indian subcontinent's pioneer research vessel ship Sagar Nidhi. So this is actually for the deep ocean missions of India, as we discussed a few details in the yesterday's video. So today we will be discussing more of this deep ocean mission. At the same time, the Sagar Nidhi as well, with complete details. So article number 7, abortion rules to aid minors. So this is actually the new category that is being added to abortion rules. So that is minors. So let us find out the complete details in this article. And the last one is PAI 2021, that is Public Affairs Index 2021. Karnataka states backs overall rank of 7. So we actually dropped with respect to this particular rank. Let's see what was the rank earlier and to what rank that we the reasons why we have dropped in this particular rank, and the methods how it is going to be measured. So with this, let's go to the first article. So Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying and Union Minister of Home Affairs and Cooperation launches Dairy Sahakar scheme. So what is the purpose of this Dairy Sahakar scheme? The Dairy Sahakar, with a total investment of rupees 5,000 crore, will be implemented by NCDC under Ministry of Cooperation, Government of India, to realize the vision from cooperation to prosperity. So NCDC is nothing but National Cooperative Development Corporation. So with this particular cooperation or corporation, so there will be total investment of 5,000 crore, and the vision of this is from cooperation to prosperity. See, there will be cooperation among so many sectors here, so this cooperation should be converted into prosperity. So this is the main objective of this particular scheme. So under Dairy Sahakar, financial support will be extended by NCDC, that is National Cooperative Development Corporation, will be financing this particular scheme to eligible cooperatives for activities such as bovine development, milk procurement, processing, quality assurance, value addition, branding, packaging, marketing, transportation and storage of milk and milk products, export of dairy products, within the overall objectives of doubling the farmers' income and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this is actually in line with doubling the farmers' income and Atmanirbhar Bharat. NCDC actually funds this particular scheme for various activities, including these many things as we mentioned here. So this is actually the purpose of the entire scheme. This project worth is 5,000 crore. So with this, let's go to the article number 2. Scientists find a mineral seen in the depth of the earth in a meteorite. So let's find out in which meteorite the mineral that is found is as same as the mineral that is present inside the earth, and how it is beneficial for the other research activities. the key findings of the study led by IIT Kharagpur. So this research is done by IIT Kharagpur researchers, could help us understand the formation and evolution of the earth. So this research, this mineral, the study of this mineral actually helps us in studying evolution of the earth. Though there are many hypotheses, theories are present, so this actually might give us a new dimension. So they have studied a meteoroid that fell near the town of Katol in Nagpur district of Maharashtra on May 22nd, 2012, reporting for the first time presence of veins of mineral bridgmanite, so which is the most abundant mineral in the interior of the earth within the Katol L6 chondrite meteorite. So this finding adds evidence to the moon formation giant impact hypothesis. So this was actually meteorite was found in the year 2012, May 22nd. So approximately around 8 to 9 years of research it took to identify the presence of mineral, that is bridgmanite. So this bridgmanite mineral that is present in this particular meteorite is the most abundant mineral that is also present in the interior of the earth. So this is also present within the Katol L6 chondrite meteorite. So this definitely helps us or adds evidence to the formation of a moon, that is a moon forming giant impact hypothesis, because we know that moon is formed from the earth itself. So since the mineral that is present in this meteorite and the mineral that is present in the interior of the earth is same, so this can add more value to justify moon forming giant impact hypothesis. So bridgmanite is the most volumetric abundant mineral of the earth's interior. So volumetric in the sense it is huge and abundant, it is available in excess in the earth's interior. So it is present in the lower mantle. So as we know, earth is divided into core, crust, mantle, different parts, and this bridgmanite is present in the mantle from 60 to 2700 kilometers, and it is important to understand its formation mechanism to better comprehend the origin and evolution of planetary interior. So study of this actually gives us or gives kind of understanding with respect to origin and evolution of planetary interiors. So the moon forming giant impact hypothesis is that long ago, nearly 4.5 billion years ago, the earth collided with a planet size of Mars named Tela. So actually earth collided with now planet size Mars. So the planet which is approximately equal to the size of the Mars, so that is named as Tala. So there is a collision between earth and this planet Tala. And the force of impact, so due to this particular collision, the force of this particular impact was so huge as it melted the earth down from the surface to the depth of 750 kilometers to 1100 kilometers. Imagine how huge should be this particular impact. That means the temperature or the heat that is generated out of this particular collision between earth and Thela actually melted the surface, from its surface to 750 kilometers to 1100 kilometers. Imagine the amount of heat that would have generated with respect to this particular impact. So the hypothesis goes that this caused the earth to be bathed in the magma ocean. So it made the earth as if it is immersed or bathed in the magma ocean, and the ejecta from the collision led to the formation of the moon. So due to this collision between earth and the Thela, so this made earth to be bathed in the magma ocean, and the ejecta that is obtained out of this particular collision, so that is believed to be the reason for the formation of moon as for this particular hypothesis. So this is the most favored hypothesis on the formation of the moon, and the present finding by the Kharagpur team lends further support to it. So the new research that the Kharagpur IIT team that has been doing, so this adds more support to this particular hypothesis, that is formation of moon out of the collision between earth and Thela. And earth was an ocean of magma in the past. So in the very younger days of earth, it was actually ocean of magma. The heavier iron and nickel went to the core while the lighter silicate stayed in the mantle. So of course, due to gravitational pull, and since iron and nickel are heavier, they actually sunk to the interior or to the bottom, and the lighter silicates actually stayed in the mantle. So by studying the meteoroid, we can actually understand more details about the formation of the Earth and other planets. So since we can study this particular meteoroid due to the presence of similar kind of Brigmanite, so we can actually have more ideas about this particular planet Earth. So Brigmanite consists of magnesium. So what are the things that will be present in Bridgmanite? So magnesium, iron, calcium, aluminum oxide, and has perovskite structure. So there are different types of structure. One we can call it as crystalline structure. Other one is called as perovskite structure. And the Bridgmanite that is found in this particular meteorite has perovskite structure. So while the crystal structures of natural Bridgmanite has been reported in other meteorites. So the meteorites that the Bridgmanite that is found in other meteorites such as Teham, Tenham and Suazio meteorites. The Bridgmanite actually that was found is crystalline in nature. So it is actually having crystalline structure, and the Bridgmanite that we found here in this particular meteorite is perovskite structure, and their chemical composition does not fully match with the terrestrial Bridgmanite present in the Earth's interior between 660 to 2,700 kilometer depth. So Tenham and Suzuo meteoroid, they have same kind of Bridgmanite, but the problem is the structure of this Bridgmanite is crystalline. But the structure of the Bridgmanite that is found in this particular meteorite is peroxide, that is similar to the structure of Bridgmanite that is present in Earth's interior between 660 to 2,700 kilometers. So that is the reason why we could not mimic the Bridgmanite that is found in Tenham and Suzuo meteorites that were found earlier. So our findings led to the numerous other advances to understand how Earth's core formed about 4.5 billion years ago. So this our findings actually led to the numerous other advances. So we could actually understand how Earth's core formed about 4.5 billion years ago. As we all know, we know that Earth is formed about 4.5 billion years ago. So with this, let's go to article number 3. Jupiter's monster storm not just wide but surprisingly deep. So it was only found to be wide, but according to new research by NASA, so it is deep as well. So let's find out the complete details here. So Jupiter's great red spot, a storm so big it could swallow Earth, extends surprisingly deep beneath the planet's cloud tops. Imagine. So it can actually extends surprisingly deep beneath the planet's cloud tops. Actually, it is a red spot. It is Jupiter's great red spot. It is called as. So you can see in this picture. So this is the great red spot. So this is actually a storm. Okay, so this storm is actually not just wide enough. This is also deep inside. So this has been studied by NASA's Juno spacecraft. So this has discovered that the monster storm. So this is huge or big. That's why we call it as monster storm. Though shrinking, still has a depth of between 350 kilometers and so 500 kilometers. So even though this storm is shrinking, even then it has the depth between 350 and 500 kilometers. So when combined with its width, so when the depth is combined with width, that is 16,000 kilometers, the great red spot resembles a fat pancake in new 3D images of the planet. So this is a kind of analogy that they have related the size of this particular great red spot with a pancake with 3D images of the planet. The great red spot is probably the tallest Jovian storm. So this is actually storm. Actually, this is the tallest Jovian storm measured so far with Juno's microwave and gravity mapping instrument. So these are the technical things that they have used, that is gravity and mapping instrument. So this is the tallest Jovian storm that has been measured so far. So with this, let us understand more about on NASA's Juno mission. So this Juno is NASA's space probe orbiting the planet Jupiter. So this is actually created to actually study the planet Jupiter. So it was built by Lockheed Martin and is operated by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The spacecraft was launched from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station on 5th August 2011. So it is almost 10 years now. So it was launched from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station 10 years ago as part of the New Frontier program. Juno entered a polar orbit of Jupiter on 5th July 2016. So approximately around after 5 years of its journey, so it reached Jupiter's orbit. So to begin a scientific investigation of the planet. So this is for the scientific research or investigation of the planet. So after completing its mission, Juno will be intentionally deorbited into Jupiter's atmosphere. So after completing its missions, so this Juno is intentionally, so they deliberately deorbited. So if it is revolving around this particular Jupiter in a particular orbit, so it is intentionally deorbited so that it can get into the Jupiter's atmosphere. So Juno's mission is to measure Jupiter's composition, gravitational field, magnetic field, and polar magnetosphere. The purpose of deorbiting this Juno spacecraft is to study the composition of Jupiter, then gravitational field that is present, then magnetic field and polar magnetosphere, all these components. So it will also search for clues about how planet formed. So they can also study or come out with an hypothesis to know how Jupiter planet is formed, including whether it has a rocky core. So they can actually study whether there are presence of rocky core, the amount of water present within the deep atmosphere, mass distribution, its deep winds which can reach speed up to 620 km/h, that is equal to 390 mph. So Juno is second spacecraft to orbit Jupiter. So this is just not the first spacecraft that has been orbiting Jupiter. So there was earlier spacecraft as well, that was nuclear powered Galileo orbiter, so which orbited from 1995 to 2003. So this was the earlier spacecraft that was sent to do research or study the planet Jupiter. So with this, let's go to the next article, that is UIDAI, that is Unique Identification Authority of India seeks indemnity from data bill. So kind of separation or not to be added into data bill. So first of all, let us understand what is UIDAI. So this is Aadhaar identity platform with its inherent features of uniqueness, authentication, and financial address and eKYC enables the government of India to directly reach residents of the country in delivering various subsidies, benefits, services by using the residents Aadhaar number only. So by using residents Aadhaar number, the government of India can reach the residents for various purposes like giving subsidies or benefits of various schemes and services. So for this particular reason, so this UIDAI was actually created. So now this the Unique Identification Authority of India has asked for exemption from the personal data protection law. So now there has been a proposal to put this under personal data protection law, but this UIDAI has actually sought or asked for exemption to getting added into personal data protection law. There is a reason. We will discuss about it in this article. So in an interaction with the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Data Protection Bill 2019. So this was actually proposed during the interaction with the Joint Parliamentary Committee Data Protection Bill 2019. So this Unique Identification Authority of India functionaries said the authority is already being governed by the Aadhaar Act and there cannot be duplicity of the law. So this is actually in the ambit of one act that is called as Aadhaar Act. Already it is governed by Aadhaar Act, then there is no need for parallel law that governs the same once again. So this is termed as duplicity of laws is actually not required. The genesis of this bill. So we, when we go to roots of this particular bill, I mean to say Data Protection Bill 2019. So it lies in, this bill lies in the report prepared by the committee of experts headed by Justice B.N. Sri Krishna. So this was actually created by a committee. So it was actually headed by Justice B.N. Sri Krishna. The committee was constituted by the government in the course of hearing before the Supreme Court in the right to privacy case. So there was a right to privacy case between Justice K.S. Puttaswamy and Union of India. So, this committee was actually constituted during this particular course of time. The Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 as contentious section which invokes, I mean to say, appeals sovereignty and integrity of India, public order, friendly relations with the foreign states and security of the state to give powers to the central government. So according to this Personal Data Protection Bill 2019, so during, under sovereignty and integrity of India, public order, friendly relations, foreign, foreign states, friendly relations with foreign states and security of the state, that gives power to the central government to suspend all or any of the provisions of this act for the government agencies. So the government agencies, the provisions, all the provisions or a few provisions of this act can be suspended. So the bill, if implemented in the present form, so if it is implemented as per the present discussion, may create two distinct ecosystems. So which are all the two distinct ecosystems? One with the government agencies who will be completely out of ambit of the law, giving them the complete freedom to deal with the personal data. So one, the government agencies. So if it is implemented as it is, the government agencies will be completely out of the ambit of the law. So they will not come inside the law, so that they will have the entire freedom to access the personal data. And the second will be private data, the fiduciaries who will have to deal with the every letter in the law. So these are the two distinct ecosystems this will be creating if this will be implemented as it is. So with this, let's go to the article number 5. This is related to Ministry of Defense. So delivery of Y12704, that is Vishakhapatnam, first ship of Project 15B. So out of in Project 15B, there are 4 ships to be created, out of which the first ship has been created now. So that is coded as Y12704, and that is named after Vishakhapatnam. So let's find out the complete details. So why 12704, that is Vishakhapatnam, the lead ship of the Project 15B. So it is stealth guided missile destroyer. So this is actually guided missile destroyer being built by Mazagon Docks Limited, was delivered to the Indian Navy on 28th October 2021. And it has been handed over to the Indian Navy. The contract for 4 ships, as I told you, this has a contract of 4 ships of Project 15B. So this is named as Project 15B, as the Vishakhapatnam class ships are known, was signed on 28 January 2011. So it was signed in 2011 and it was delivered 10 years after that. This project is a follow on Kolkata class. Kolkata class is called as 15A, and the new class is called as 15B. So it is actually followed after Kolkata class, that is titled as 15A. So this destroyers commissioned in the last decade. So designed by Directorate of Naval Design, Indian Navy's in-house design organization, and built by Mazagon Dock Shipyards Limited, Mumbai. So this is actually built by, Mazagon Dock Shipyards, Mumbai. The 4 ships are Christian, I mean to say, named after major cities from all 4 corners of the country. One is Visakhapatnam, other one is Mormugao, then is Impal, and other one is Surat. So let us understand the specifications of this particular ship. The 163-meter long warship. So this is actually warship, and length is around 163 meters. Has full load displacement of 7,400 tons and maximum speed of 13 knots. So it can move in the speed of 13 knots. The overall indigenous content of the project is approximately 75%. Apart from myriad indigenous equipment in the float and move categories, the destroyer is also installed with major indigenous weapons So this is actually installed with various major indigenous weapons apart from myriad indigenous equipment. So what are they? Medium range surface to air missiles that is being developed by BEL Bangalore. BrahMos surface to surface missile, that is BrahMos Aerospace, New Delhi. Indigenous torpedo tube launchers designed by Larsen and Toubro, Mumbai. Anti-submarine indigenous rocket launchers designed by L&T, Mumbai. 76 millimeter super rapid gun mount, BHEL, Haridwar. So these are the different things that will be installed with respect to this particular warship. So with this, let's go to the next article. This is related to Ministry of Earth Sciences. Union Minister visits Indian subcontinent's pioneer research vessel ship Sagar Nidhi. So in this article, we need to know about this particular Sagar Nidhi in full details. So what is the role of this Sagar Nidhi? The role of Sagar Nidhi is exploring the ocean resources and participation in search and rescue operations. More specifically, it is important for implementation of deep ocean mission. So dear friends, in the yesterday's video, we have covered complete details about deep ocean mission. So this Sagar Nidhi is kind of implementation of the deep ocean mission. Basically, it is for performing rescue operations and search operations in the ocean. The vessel is capable of carrying out geoscientific, meteorological, and oceanographic research. So the main areas of its working is geoscientific, meteorological, and oceanographic research, and is designed with blue water capability with ranges up to 10,000 nautical miles for voyages lasting up to 45 days. So it can actually move around in the ocean for about 45 days and move up to 10,000 nautical miles, and this is actually blue water capability that is inside the water. So Sagar Nidhi, India's state-of-the-art, ice class research vessel. So Sagar Nidhi is the first Indian flagged research ship. So this is the first Indian flagged research ship that reached the 66-degree south latitude, that is Antarctic waters, facing 11 storms and 73 nanometer per hour wind speed, witnessing nature's harshest conditions. So actually, this Sagar Nidhi has been exposed to the nature's harshest conditions. So you can see it is facing 11 storms, and the wind speed is 73 nanometer per hour. So that is definitely the harshest conditions that is been facing by Sagar Nidhi. So now let us understand deep ocean mission. So here I will be covering the points which we did not cover in the yesterday's video. So the only new points that I will be adding. So if you want to know the complete details, you can, as I told you before, you can watch yesterday's video. So private institutions, there will be many, institutions that will be part of deep ocean mission. Along with that, there will be private institutions will also be included for development of technologies for this mission to explore the possibilities of mining, biodiversity, energy, freshwater, etc. So these are the purposes of mining, to check the biodiversity, energy, and fresh water. So for this, there are many private agencies that are associated in deep ocean mission, in deep ocean, and to support the blue economy, the economy, the economy that will be enriched by using resources that are found in water. So that is called as blue economy. The Ministry of Earth Sciences as the mandate of providing weather. So they actually have the mandate. I mean to say, this ministry has the mandate to provide weather, climate, and ocean and seismological services, and to harness living and non-living resources. So they are actually have the responsibility of doing all these things. Along with that, they need to harness living and non-living resources of the oceans. So this Ministry of Earth Sciences is also involved in development of relevant ocean technology and ocean survey of EEZ, that is exclusive economic zone, and deep oceans for minerals and energy. We actually, if any ocean is attached to any particular country, they will not have the rights to use the minerals or resources of the entire ocean. So there will be some part of the ocean that is permitted, and there are various terminology to state that. And this exclusive economic zone, that particular country will have the authority to explore the minerals that are present in this particular exclusive economic zone. So how this ocean waters will be utilized for resources, we have made an entire video on these zones. So you can actually go through the playlist to find out the same. So National Institute of Technology, Chennai has the mandate to develop technologies for the sustainable harvesting living and non-living resources of the ocean. So this is National Institute of Technology that has the responsibility to develop technologies for sustainable harvesting living and non-living resources of the ocean. So this National Institute of Technology has successfully developed and demonstrated the technologies like desalination of plants for drinking water in Lakshadweep Island. So these are the activities that have been contributed by this NIOT. One is desalination of plants, desalination plants for drinking water in Lakshadweep Islands, extracting energy from oceans, restoration of beach in Puducherry, development of remotely operated underwater vehicles, and mining machines for 5,500 meter water depth. So these are the things that have been successfully developed by NIOT. So this National Institute of Technology also has the mandate to deploy and maintain mood data buoyants for the data collection that aids in weather prediction. Mood in the sense kind of fast data buoyants for the data collection that aids in weather prediction, because weather at the oceans is very important because it affects the lives of people who actually exploring these resources. So weather prediction, cyclone tracking, because we know the impact of these cyclones and loss of property and life. So that's why we need to have these cyclone trackings, because as the precautionary measures, and tsunami early warnings, research vessels is an important tool for ocean research and development of ocean technology. So MOES has at present 6 ships. So they are Sagar Nidhi, Sagar Manjusha, Sagar Kanya, Sagar Sampada, Sagar Tara, and Sagar Anveshika. So which are used for many ocean studies applications, including ocean observations. So India, a traditionally maritime country. So let's know the importance of our oceans of India. So India is a traditionally maritime country with a rich maritime heritage. So we have a lot of water surrounding our country. So that's why we can call it as a rich maritime heritage. As an exclusive economic zone, about 2.37 million square meters, wherein India enjoys exclusive legal right to utilize all living and non-living resources. As I told you, there will be different zones across the oceans. So for that, you need to refer back to the previous videos to find out the different definitions of different regions. So whenever we have EEZ, that is exclusive economic zone, we will have exclusive legal rights to utilize all living and non-living resources. So apart from this, India has been allotted 75,000 square kilometers in the Central Indian Ocean, 10,000 square kilometers in the Southern India Ocean by the International Seabed Authority. So International Seabed Authority has given us the permission to actually explore 75,000 square kilometers in the Central Indian Ocean and 10,000 square kilometers in the Southern Indian Ocean to explore. These areas are rich in minerals like manganese, cobalt, and nickel. So obviously these are resourceful resources that actually help in increasing prosperity of the country. So for the sustainable harvesting of these non-living and living organisms, we need to explore and understand the ocean. So in order to explore and understand the ocean, we need to have different the facilities to actually conduct these kind of researches. So in a way, Deep Ocean Mission is actually assisting with respect to these kind of technology interventions. So with this, let's go to the next article, that is abortion rules to aid minors. So the new category that is being added to abortion rules, that is minors. So let's find out the complete details. The new abortion rule notified by the Union government recently recognizes minors as a vulnerable category and seek to make services more accessible to them. So, but the social stigma and conflict with the POCSO Act 2012 or the law against child sexual abuse pose hurdles. So there are hurdles from this particular POCSO Act 2012, but there is recognition that the minors are vulnerable and they are the vulnerable category and they are seeking to make services more accessible to them. Services in the sense kind of the the making them eligible to these abortion rules. So the medical termination of pregnancy amendment rules 2021 define new categories of vulnerable women who are allowed to termination up to 24 weeks upon meeting certain conditions with the permission of two doctors. So at least there should be two doctors that should permit this, and they can actually terminate the pregnancy of 24 weeks upon meeting certain conditions. So this is according to the medical termination of pregnancy amendment rules 2021. These include, so overall the people that are included in this particular medical termination of pregnancy. One is minors, survivors of sexual assault, and those with the fetal malformation. So now this is the new inclusion to that. Earlier we had survivors of sexual assault and with fetal malformation. So now, according to recent change, minors are also added to this particular category. So others in the sense, apart from these three categories, seek abortion up to 20 weeks with the permission of one doctor upon meeting the certain criteria. Earlier, you needed the permission of one doctor for termination of pregnancy, that is of 12 weeks, and two doctors for 12 to 20 weeks. Now, one doctor's permission is enough. The amendment law provides for setting up a state level medical board. So there will be provision to set up state level medical boards to decide if a pregnancy may be terminated after 24 weeks. So minors were included as the special category. So what is the reason that minors are included as a special category? Because it was found that a large number of them were approaching courts for permission to terminate pregnancies beyond 20 weeks. So because of rise in cases, I mean to say, people or minors that are approaching courts for termination of pregnancy that are beyond 20 weeks. So there will be addition to this particular category. So they were the third largest category after those with fetal abnormalities and rape survivors. So fetal abnormalities and rape survivors, actually they come in first and second category, and third highest is the minor. So that's why they have been added into this. So with this, let's go to the last article, that is PAI 2021, that is Public Affairs Index 2021. Karnataka backs overall rank of 7. So let's find out how this ranking is made. So Karnataka dropped to 7th rank in the Public Affairs Index 2021 with a score of 0.121. It was in the 4th position last year. That means we slipped by 3 positions in this year. So apart from looking at governance performance, so how it is going to be measured? So one is governance performance in the context of sustainable development defined by equity, growth, and sustainability pillars. So there are 3 pillars to measure this. So, as governance performance, one is with respect to equity, other one is growth and sustainability. So based on these 3 pillars, this ranking would be given. So public, what do you say, public PIA, that is Public Affairs Index 2021, also features analysis of 5 center sponsored schemes that aid in key development parameters. So there will be ranking or performance taken with respect to centers 5 sponsored schemes which are related to health, education, and livelihoods. So how the states are performing in these 3 areas are also considered for this particular ranking. What are they? Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, National Health Mission, Integrated Child Development Services, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyana, then Midday Meal Scheme. So our performance in these areas is also counted for this particular ranking. The report also includes ranking of the states on the basis of their performance during COVID-19 pandemic as well. So they've added one more thing, that is performance of the states with respect to COVID-19 pandemic, apart from delta analysis measuring year-on-year performance and cluster analysis of the states. So there will be year-on-year performance measurement also and cluster analysis of the states as well. So as per the PAI 2021, Karnataka slipped 4 places and is 16 in pillars of equity. So in I told you there are 3 pillars. One is equity, one is growth, and sustainability. So in the pillars of equity, so we slipped actually 4 places at 16, and this is despite a positive to moderate performance in pillars of growth and sustainability. So we are kind of better in growth and sustainability, but we are kind of bad or not good performing in equity. So Karnataka is 6th in growth and 4th in the sustainability. So we are 16th in equity, 6th in growth and 4th in sustainability. Other states have outperformed Karnataka, which performed very well in health by being more focused in allocating resources for tackling the pandemic. So while tackling the pandemic, they were good enough in allocating the resources compared to the state of Karnataka, now which is in the first place. So Kerala had emerged as the best performing in the large states category, Sikkim among the small states, and Puducherry in the union territory. So these are the best performing states and union territories with respect to the size of the state and the union territory. So these are all the articles of today's current affairs. If you have any questions, definitely you can put in comments box. Thanks for watching. Namaskara.